I'm going to go over SPY, Tesla, CRM, Snow, OGS, and UBS on the 5-minute time frame and give you some price targets for Friday. Starting with SPY, we ended the day at $456.40. The day's low, 453.34. The day's high, 456.76. This is where we ended. 2 standard deviations takes us to 456.57. This is resistance. Another level of resistance at 3 standard deviations, 457.44, and at 4 standard deviations and another possible take profit area, 458.31. Should we fall down, this would turn into support. And from there, if we fall again, this would again turn into support. And then we would grind. And then if we break that back to the middle of the trend, it takes us to roughly 454.88. Below that, at negative 2 standard deviations, 453.15, 452.30, and at negative 4 standard deviations and support and a potential bounce area, 451.41. The RSI is overbought at 72, so I will anticipate a little sell-off as people take their profits and they run. Now looking left, you can see in this area, we started to fall down from here. This turns into support, another level of support, broke through, went back up to resistance, fell back down, closed out this gap at the middle of the trend here, and then this turns into support, bounces off support, didn't quite make it here, fell, went sideways, and it repeats itself up and down, up and down. Now this one is something that I tracked, this gap at 454.93, closes out at 453.41. And we touched right there. So this gap is no longer in play. We are done with this. And then I will start looking for other gaps to the downside. But if we look left, there's really nothing here. So possibly there were some other ones that I have tracked. This one's closed out. But oh, right here. We are not in this channel, not in the zone. But when we get close to it, I will do another update. But this gap starts out at 446.11, closes out at 440.38. Again, we are a long ways off. The next one, Tesla. The truck came out and the stock fell. But that's all right. It'll fall to go back up and reach another leg up. We ended the day at 240.08, down more than 1.5%. The day's low, 236.91, and the day's high, 245.22. Oh, this I just tracked the other day. And we went up, and then we went down. When I talked about this on Tuesday, we rode up, fell at resistance, made our way back down, climbed up, and then reached this point and bounced up to end at, again, 240.08. Now, to the north side from where we are, back to the middle of the trend and the base and resistance, 244.90. For some, this will be a sell area. If you continue to ride it up and think it will go up, the next line will take us to roughly 253.32. Obviously, many levels in between. At 3 standard deviations, that will take us to 257.54 and another level of resistance and take profit area, 261.46. Ignore the red lines. This was a previous price target. It got revised down and we met it. And now I had to look at tip ranks because because TradingView has not updated the 1 year price target. So I went on to tip ranks, and now the average is 247.29. The high is 380. I will probably sell my shares off at the high. Now we are very close to there, so I anticipate we will close this out tomorrow. To the south side at -2 standard deviations and another possible buy-in area, 236.56, 232.40, and 228.06. The RSI is at 51. Now the next one is CRM. Thank you to Marat for pointing this out to me. And yesterday, he suggested I look at a couple of them that are on his list: CI, NVO, CRM, and SNO. And guess what? SNO and CRM ran like crazy today. So congratulations if you made money off of these two stocks. Now, when he talked about it, there was a gap that went up. So I anticipate it will fill to the downside. And I'll talk about that in a second. But we were grinding slowly sideways and up, and then we gapped up on earnings and reached nearly 3 standard deviations, started to fall down. But even from when Marat pointed this out, right here roughly, let's just put that there. Oops, let me get rid of my magnet. That was a run of 10% there. Now, this is where we ended at 251.90, up 9%. The day's low, 243.65. The high, 252.50. Resistance will take us to 255.72. And if we do get to this area, I will anticipate a sell-off as people take their profits and they run. Should we go another leg up, that will take us to roughly 260.54 and 265.22. This was an old price target, so ignore that. The middle of the trend and the resting place that stocks have to go through to get to the upside or to the downside takes us to 246.14. From where we are, that is support. If we break through and fall, it's 236.42. A gap closes out at 230.80. I forgot to mention this opened up at 248.37. And this gap opens up at 228.03. And -4 standard deviations takes us to roughly 226.82. Closes out right here, this gap at 225.05. Anytime we hit the support lines, I will anticipate a bounce as people buy the dip. The RSI on the 5-minute is getting into the overbought area, so I will anticipate possibly going up and then curving right back down and then making its way back up again. So this could touch this resistance level and then sell off. So watch out for that. The next one is SNO. All right, when Marat pointed it out, we ended the day there at 175.32. Or we started it. I just marked it out at the beginning of the day. So we went sideways up to resistance, fell back down, and then on earnings, gapped up big time. All right. And made it to 4 standard deviations. I do not ever bank on a stock going above 4 standard deviations in one day. Most of the time, it doesn't even make it to 4, but all day long to -2, the middle of the trend, and 2 standard deviations. I play along those lines and that range very easily and very conservatively. But if you want to be ultra conservative, you can go from, say, -2 to the middle, sell off, and then let it come back down, and then continue to repeat that cycle. But I typically go and buy anywhere down here and here, and then try to ride it up to right about here. And I usually set an order the night before because I can never catch it. And sometimes I lose money in the sense that I don't get as much money out by tracking it every second during the course of a day, but I don't have time to do that. So I'd rather take some profits rather than lose in general. All right, for snow, let's talk about the day's close. 187.63, up 7%. The low for the day, 180.27. The day's high, 192.66. All right, this is where we are. Above that at resistance, 191.37, 194.37, 197.27. Back to the base, 185.57, 179.62, 176.73, and this gap closes out at roughly 175.51. While I'm at it, I will mark this one. If you don't know how to do that, just pause the video and then check to see what I did. This gap is still in play. Oh, let me just read this number here. If I didn't say it, I got sidetracked. 173.68. I will anticipate a bounce here, but there's a gap that is still in play that will take us down to 171.51. The RSI is at 55. I'm going to show you this on the daily time frame. I've tracked this many times in the past, but it's been a long time since I've actually done it. But we were here at 190.98 on the daily. And what happens at resistance? I don't have to tell you. If you watched my channel long enough, you will know, and watching other people's channels as well, and learning technical analysis. So sell off, bounce back up, sell off, bounce back up, sell off. Again, when we're up here and we go down, this turns into support, fell through support, didn't quite make it here, and bounced back up again. And you can use the RSI to help you figure out when the reversal will happen, and the MACD as well. That's what I like to use. And on the daily, we are in the dangerously overbought area. So watch out for that. We could continue to go up again and then fall back down and then possibly curve back up for another leg up, because the 1-year price target on this is 216.25. But don't expect this to keep going up without falling back as well. Many opportunities to trade. I'm going to flip this onto the monthly so you can see the RSI. Plenty of room to move to the upside. Back to the 5-minute. OGS, and thank you to Murat for pointing this one out as well. This is the monthly time frame for the RSI. We are at 55, plenty of room to move to the upside. Excuse me, this is the 5-minute time frame. All right. Murat told me about this to watch out for it on the weekly chart, so I'll get to that in a moment. But we were here, we gapped down today, and we fell through -2, -3, and then regained price. People bought back in and then started to go back up to the middle of the trend, the resting place typically where stocks like to go before going again to the upside, and if we are here, to the downside. All right. But we were at 58.83. Today we're at 57.63, down more than 2%. The low, 55.50. The high, 57.80. To the north side from where we are takes us to a gap fill at roughly 58.76. It started at 57.32. 2 standard deviations and another possible take profit area, 59.07, 59.83, 60.50. We are at the middle of the trend. That gap started again at 57.32, closes out up over here. Negative 2 standard deviations, 56.14, 55.44, 54.73. Now let's take a look at this on the weekly. Well, I'll just show you the daily, but Murat says to definitely check it out on the weekly, all right? So look, you're at support here. Plenty of room to go to the upside. Could it go down some more? Absolutely. But overall, it will go up. We're in a period right now that's kind of nutty. All right, to the middle of the trend on the daily takes us to 69.68, 80.12. The 1 year price target is 64.16. 64.16 takes us to right about, oops, I almost had it. There. Could it make it to the middle of the chart? Absolutely, I think. But anyway, the RSI is turning down. We are oversold. I will anticipate people buying the dip. Thank you very much to Murat again for pointing that out. Now on the weekly, RSI going down 27, and it's hard to see since I mark it out on the different time frames, but we are right at this red line, okay, to the upper channel, 59.81, middle of the trend long term. We may never get there. Don't hold your breath, but keeping my fingers crossed. 75.43. And to the downside, 52.32. And note, here, we'll just start right here. The bounce at support, resistance starts to fall off, bounce back up at support, sells off at resistance, bounces at support, bounces at support, well here too kind of, and then sells off at resistance, sells off here. Rinse and repeat. And on the monthly, the RSI is going down, plenty of room to go to the upside. And this is where we are right here. If you like to do price out things and using the grid method, which I think is pretty cool. You know, a target could be right here at 58.01, and then 59 using the grid for price targets, support, and resistance. All right, the last one I'm going to go over is UBS. I was in this trade. Here we are on the monthly. We are getting dangerously into the overbought area. I shouldn't say dangerously because we're not there yet, but my radar is going off here because anytime we hit here, I will anticipate a sell-off. Look back. Just look back in history. You will see sell-offs as we enter this area or get above it. See that? Do not expect it to stay there, the RSI, without falling apart to possibly go back up to another leg. But we're going to get there. Let me show you on the weekly. We are overbought. And up here, we are almost at 3 standard deviations, very close. That is resistance. I will anticipate a sell-off as people take their profits and they run. Could go down to the next line of support and then bounce again. But right now, I anticipate a sell-off soon. And then the next target on the weekly, 31.33. The 1 year price target is 30.63. It's been changed again. So when I looked at it back in September, it was 31.15. Now the daily, overbought. Look at that. We are right here at nearing 2 standard deviations. You know what happens. Let me take this to the 5-minute. Because of that, I sold out today. I'll get to that in just a moment. Let me give you the price targets first so I don't get sidetracked. We ended the day at 28.25, the low 27.90, the high 28.46. 28.46 right there. I last night on Wednesday, because this is Thursday night, I went in and put a sell order. And I think I did it on did I do it on the 1 minute? No, I play between the 1 and the 5 minute to get in and out. And sometimes the 15, but anyway, I set the limit. It went above where I set it to sell. I set it actually to sell at 28 and I got it at 28.04, okay? But I digress. Let me just go over this really quickly to the north side. 28.38, 28.90 will be the target for Friday. 29.15, and should we be so lucky to get to 29.42 in one day, which I do not expect or anticipate, but if we do, that's just gravy. But I do anticipate getting close to this line. But we have to get through this resistance level first. The middle of the trend takes us to 28.38 again. Now to the south side, from where we are, 27.86, support 27.63, and the next level of support 27.36. Look at these landmines down here. Starts at 26.85, closes out at 26.31. We've got another one that closes out at 26.19, 25.89, 25.44. This one closes out at, I didn't even want to talk about this to scare you just yet, but 24.90 and 24.12. Obviously, they've got a lot of press. Things are turning around for UBS. I bought it when I had Credit Suisse. That tanked. UBS bought them out. And then I've been trading UBS because of that. They converted the shares and I was down. So now I am whole again, plus some. All right, this is where I'm going to flip this to the daily so you can see it better. My chart is a hot mess because I've marked it out so many times. I cleaned it up for you. It was even worse. All right, I bought some down here at 1928 and 1993. I sold some at 24.88. So from this area, I sold when I bought in at 1928. Today I sold out here and got a return of 45%. So I was thrilled. I know I could just eke out some more before it turns around, but I didn't want to chance it. I need to be happy with my profits, and I am. Count my blessings. And then I bought here at 1993 and then sold out at 24.88, and I made a 28% return. Now, had I held it and wrote it without being scared, if I held out and wrote it to where I sold the shares today, I would be at 46%. So 1%, no big deal. Not in my book. All right, that's the beauty of using also the linear regression and doing technical analysis and then looking at where the analysts think price will go. And if you are investing in an ETF where you have no price projections, well, you do your own. And what you do is on any time frame that you're playing in or trading in, just use the lines as your target. That will help you figure out where you are going. And on any time frame you can do that. So I will anticipate if we continue to go up, which they say it will, the analysts. So one target to the upside is 29.41. Just let it ride if you're investing, but obviously if you are day trading or swing trading like I like to do, I just like to play typically between -2 and 2. If I can get it down here that's even better. I know it's scary to buy down here when you see your stock fall apart, but sometimes, you know, you're going to go through a lot of aches and pains to get to the top. And then watch out for all these landmines down below, which could be a good point to enter. And I may rebuy in at this point if we go down. But right now, I am done with UBS. And that does it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button on your way out.